I just feel so good, good, good. Oh, I just feel so good, good, good. Oh, I just feel so good.
All right, today we're gonna go check out another epic home studio, and our guest is none other than Joe Carrell. You may remember last year I did a video with Joe taking a tour of his tracking studio in Nashville called Treasure Isle Studios. Was a phenomenal facility, really great tour. Joe's a very knowledgeable audio engineer and producer, very successful. Also, you've probably seen him on YouTube. He does content with a lot of different audio companies, both software and hardware companies, and now is being featured on the Produce Like a Pro channel. Very, very cool and just all around good dude. Joe, thank you for inviting me to do this tour. This was a lot of fun, beautiful space. Also, thank you to Sweetwater for sponsoring this video. I just wanted to mention, if you've thought about making some content as a musician, a songwriter, or a studio person, audio engineer, like, it's probably a good time to get into it. And now Sweetwater has a whole content creator section where you can get all the products you're gonna need to help make content. And the one thing that I have really loved, that's been a game changer for me as an audio engineer, is this shotgun mic that you can't even see. It's the MKH416 from Sennheiser. Really, really great products, but this specific one is so awesome for making content. So if you wanna check that out, I'll put a link to it down in the description. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Just give it a little tap, maybe turn that little bell on, you hit all, hit that like button. You know, it changes colors when you hit the like button. And leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you love about Joe's studio. He's got, I mean, this is a little bit of a long one. He's got a lot of cool stuff. So this is a fun video. Thank you guys for watching, and let's go check out Joe Carrell's epic home studio.
What's up, Andrew?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. Come on in. Welcome to my nameless mix room. You know, maybe your viewers would help me come up with a name. You know, other than just that room on the side of Joe's house.
This is amazing, man.
Thank you, bro. Good to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
We did that tracking room tour. Well, that was about a year ago, a little over a year ago now. I don't think I've seen your face since in real. I've seen you on YouTube.
Yeah, this is incredible. Okay, so this is your home.
Yeah, it's off the side of my home. I bought this house about 2.5 years ago, specifically for this room. I wanted to spend a lot more time at home. You know, I was working exclusively downtown, and I felt like my son was growing up and not knowing who his dad was. I wanted to spend more time, you know, being a parent, and so this house came on the market, and it had this room off to the side that had its own entrance and its own bathroom, and it was 16 by 24, which I thought, ooh, that could make a really nice mix room. It did have 8-foot ceilings, but I had them, you know, bust out the existing trusses and rebuild it to where I could have, I think it's 11.5 foot up at the top, maybe 12. Yeah. I wanted some ceiling height.
Yeah.
It's a little irregular, you know, there's different heights on different sides, but I don't know, man, it sounds good. You know, I built, I wanted to do it right, you know, because this is I didn't envision this being my studio for just a little while. I wanted it to last a long time. So I double walled, you know, we built 2x4 walls inside of the existing structure with mineral wool insulation, 2 layers of the high density sheetrock. I think they call it fireproof sheetrock.
Nice.
And, you know, the floors, the green glue, you know, with extra flooring down, the
oh my gosh,
mass loaded vinyl, just, I mean, you name it. Everything is double doored, and all the glass is that very expensive laminate.
Yeah.
You know, it's layered with the plastic between it, and so like all the doors are, you know, 2 layers of glass between everything. I could literally have a lawnmower going right out there, and you'd never even know it. So it's after, you know, working in you know, making do, you know, in basements and garages and things like that, as far as my home-based room for so many years, you know, I wanted to finally have a room that was done right. I didn't want to, you know, if it was raining outside or the trash truck was going by, neighbors mowing the lawn, I didn't even want to know, you know. So I finally invested the money into doing that. And I decided I was going to make it just a big mix room, But I decided I wanted to be able to do overdubs too.
Sure.
You know, if I lost my space downtown and I needed to do, you know, some vocals or some acoustic guitar, or electric guitar, I could do it. So I did go ahead and put 2 booths in. I think they're maybe 7 by 6, and you know the walls are all you know, slightly angled, that kind of a thing. The carpenter had was finishing, you know, as he was finishing this, was trying to start something else and left some stuff undone.
Yeah.
Maybe some of your viewers are handyman, and I could put them to put them to work, you know. But I built permanent, you know, like permanent bass traps. There's a foot of mineral wool in each corner in the back of the room.
Nice. Yeah.
18 inches up here, and then on the front of the wall, you know, behind the speakers, I've got a foot, no, 18 inches at its deepest in each corner, and then everything else that you see like this is just the standard 2x4 mineral wool, you know, for walls. So it's what I guess that's 3 3/4 inch thick. And then there's that monstrosity up above me. I didn't want any reflections coming.
Dude, that is a beautiful cloud.
And it's, as you can see, custom made to the room, and it was a B word and a half for that guy to make, and then to get it up into position. Wow. I mean, by time, you know, that much lumber and that much, even that insulation, it's two layers of it. So 3 3/4 times 2. So it's, you know, 6 7 inches thick, and I mean, oh my gosh, it was. He had to brace it a whole lot thicker and heavier than he thought he was going to. If you see those massive, you know, rods that are up there, because he showed me the rods he was going to use, and I was like, bro, I don't think I want 1,000 pounds over my head with these, you know. So he was like, no, that'll hold, and I'm like, well, I not that I don't trust you, but I would like to know that it would hold 2 of these, you know, just to save my own life. So I had him do that, but yeah, I mean, it's just a great place to work. I can still have home, you know, dinner at home with my son. You know, in the summer times I can have lunch and dinner with him. So that's a lot of fun, you know. And if you know anything about Nashville, the commute, I live in Hendersonville, which is a suburb on the north side. Any of you that know Nashville, Johnny Cash's property is just down the street here on the lake. So it's that part of town. So what that means is to get to Treasure Isle or Music Row is, you know, 35, 40 minutes, and on anywhere near rush hour, it's an hour and 5 minutes, and which is fine, but that don't need to be part of my everyday, you know. And when I'm tracking, that's, you know, we're cutting orchestra rhythm section, that's great. But if I'm going to be mixing for 2 weeks in a row, I don't need to add that, you know, that time to my weekly cal. I just need to come in here and get busy and spend that hour, you know, on a song. So,
well, this is incredible. How long have you been using this room?
You know what, this April will be 2 years, I think. I can mix, you know, albums completely in the box. That's necessary a lot of times nowadays.
Sure.
Because they want you to mix like all 10 songs or 12 songs or whatever the case may be. So sometimes bringing in all this hardware that you see is just, it's not cool. Maybe I'll print, you know, I've got a couple channels in my template that I can or use to route, you know, like if I want to run something through these beautiful compressors back here and back into the session and print it for permanent, I can. But as far as doing a hybrid mix situation, I can do that too. So if I have time, it's a single, or the budget's better, you know, or they plan on finishing one song at a time before they move to the next one, I can bring in a lot of this great outboard stuff, and that's my favorite way to work, quite honestly, because you know, I'm old enough to, you know, have mixed completely analog to where, you know, I mean, we didn't have plugins, Pro Tools didn't exist. And, you know, once you've experienced that hands-on thing, you never get over it. That's one of the drawbacks to being a little older. You've still got so many fascinations and things with the past that, you know, I've experienced it, so I know how fun it was and how intuitive and hands-on it was. So I still love to work that way when I can. But that said, I love working completely in the box too. I mean, it's not uncommon for me to mix a record here completely in the box, then meet a client, that lives on the south side or something. They don't want to drive all the way to Hendersonville. So I'll meet them at Treasure Isle or somewhere, in that studio that you toured last time, and just plug my Apollo into the aux on the console, and we'll monitor it and make changes in real time there. Which, that was never even something that was possible up until a handful of years ago, to have that much processing power on a laptop with the UAD cards. I mean, I can run the last session a couple weeks ago that I went down there to close out some mixes with the client. I mean, it was probably over 100 tracks per song, because we had full orchestra on top of rhythm section and choir and some lead. I mean, it was just massive, timpanis and, along with all the electric guitars and drums and bass and B3, and it was just a massive production. And to have enough power in a laptop, it's just crazy. But it was great, I like where we're at technology-wise. We still have incredible analog tools. In fact, I would say we have incredible analog tools that are more accessible than ever.
Yeah. With
companies like Audioscape and Warm Audio, for example, have made really high quality gear affordable. It's a cool time to be working all digital, and it's a very, very cool time to be working all hybrid, or all analog too, because there's just so many great tools that are somewhat affordable. I go way back with Warm Audio to their early days, so I know the founder of the company, which is still heavily involved in all the product design, and he's a passionate dude. That's who I want to work with. The guys from Audioscape. If you've ever met the guys from Audio, I've seen some of your videos. You're an Audioscape guy too, right?
Yeah, I have some of their stuff.
Chris and his team. Like, you go to their booth at NAMM, for example, and they can't wait to show you what they're excited about their products.
Yeah.
And you'll see. Like, I'm talking to this one guy, and the guy who actually designed this piece is at the booth too. So as soon as he gets a minute and he sees someone, messing with a piece of gear that he designed, he's excited to come and talk to you and tell you about it. And I've used the original too, anywhere from a few times to thousands of times, and so you know what it's supposed to sound like. And I was sold pretty quick with some headphones at their booth, it's like, oh my gosh, I got to get one of these 1176s right away, so yeah, I mean, it's so accessible, I think this Blue Stripe, I know we'll talk about the gear in a minute. Man, I'm trying to remember, is it $700 or $800 or something like that for that Blue Stripe? I'm sorry, guys at Audioscape, if I'm giving the wrong numbers, but if I was to go online and find a vintage Yuri Blue Stripe, what are they now, like 15 grand?
Can I ask you, what are some of so I know you do a lot of tracking and you do a lot of really big sessions at Treasure Isle. Mm-hmm. What are some of the mix work projects that you get to do here?
I've been so blessed career-wise. I'm a very diverse listener. If you were to follow me around for a month on Apple Music, you'd be like, holy crap, who even is this guy? Does he know who he is? And luckily, that's the way my career has kind of unfolded. So, I just recently I did that massive orchestral thing. I just did a very, very modern pop country thing yesterday. Today I'm doing an Americana type tune. I do a lot of orchestral work. I'm real lucky, like I got to do that Broadway Walt Disney thing, the Disney Princess thing that was, we tracked rhythm section and orchestra at the same time down at Ocean Way. What a blast that was. I do, rock, heavy rock, So
you've got a lot of gear in here. Can you kind of walk me through, like, from the computer sort of in and out, like what you like to use when you mix, and maybe some special things that you love?
Let me move my chair right here. So it all starts right here. I still have the old trash can. Now this was the highest, there were three of them. Mac has always had generally their three-tier thing, the good, better, best. And so luckily that was the top end one. But by today's standards, it's not quite up there with the newest ones, but it gets the job done. It really does. I can run, because I've got, if you'll see down here, I've got a 16-channel interface that I run every day, and I've got an extra 8 in and out with a 8 just out in a 192 that feeds the headphone system, the Q system. And then down here I've got a HDX card and an Octo UAD And then I also have an Octo satellite UAD that right now I have it down at Treasure Isle because I was using it to run reverbs during a recent orchestral session. I just don't run out of power. Even with a Mac, a trash can, which those were designed in what, 2000, and yeah, I mean, they're getting old now. I just don't run out of power. Now, I know there will be a day where I have to, replace it, but for now, it's holding up. And I've got a laptop system too, which my assistant currently has, because she's been bouncing a bunch of stems for a big thing where they want, it's just a ton of work that I don't have time to do. So that's not here today, but I just run a little Apollo, a 4-channel, because I wanted to be able to do an acoustic guitar or stereo keyboard plus a vocal. So I needed more than 2. So I got I think they call it the quad or the ×4. But
and then you're doing, so you've got the 192.
Okay, so the first interface is 16 channel. So that does a lot. But on true hybrid days, I'll turn on that second interface and I can get 8 more channels of this stuff.
Yeah.
Plus, I can send 8 channels of Q to I've got the Behringer. I don't even remember what they're called. This is the brain right here, and then I got 2 or 3 of the module things. I hardly ever use them, because I like to track downtown still. Man, I bought this used like 5 years ago. It's a
Studio
Argosy.
Oh, Argosy. Okay.
It's an Argosy, and I don't even know that you can get this light gray color anymore. But I know for a fact it was originally designed for either the Yamaha or the Mackie, the big Mackie thing. I can't remember what it was called. And the guy figured out that he didn't want that anymore. So he had a friend come in and modify it to where he got 2 extra bays of rack gear, and then with the spacer in the middle. And that actually really, really works well for me. I was having trouble with it. Using a lot of the gear that you see down here. I would love to have my stereo bus stuff up here, but I was having trouble with the VU meters being that flat. First of all, it put off a lot of heat because I had a lot of tube stuff, but the metering was so inaccurate that I was like, I ended up just kind of reevaluating everything and putting, some of the gates and the locomotive audios and the LA2As and things like that down here that didn't have a VU meter. It just worked better for me. I've been using the Artist series from Avid, and they're great. I'm not here to down talk those whatsoever, but I kept dropping power supplies. I was down to 8 working faders, and I thought, okay, well, either I'm gonna get into the Avid S1 or something else. And SSL had came out with these, which is great. I mean, the fader pack, but what really sold me was this, the UC1. So they have and there's more to come, but there's currently a channel strip called the Channel Strip 2, which is like a 9,000. And then a 4KB, which is a 4K. And I can actually hands-on the channel strips. So I can set my compressor here, my gate expander here, my EQ and filters here. And if I have any stereo bus compressors, I can, set that here without mousing. And Andrew, I've done this for a long time, and Pro Tools has been a big part of my career, and my wrists hurt like a mother. I have a lot of just, repetitive stress injury kind of thing. And so when I thought, okay, you know what, if I like these SSL plugins, because I love, Brainworks, Plugin Alliance, I love their SSLs, and I was using those very heavily. This just makes sense for me. So I demoed their software, thought, man, this is really great. This is really good stuff. And so I bought one of each, made sure I liked it, and then I just added this one 2 or 3 weeks ago, because I wanted 16 faders minimum, of whatever I really liked. And so I'm very happy with these,
And they're all connected, so you can kind of scroll through?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And dude, I mean, come on, a real VU meter for your bus compressor. I know do we absolutely have to have that? No, but it's still, it's fun. And I'm still a very tactical, can I mix completely with a mouse? Yes, I do it all the time. Yeah. But my main automation, when I have my way, is, of course it's mouse heavy because it's Pro Tools. It's what it has to be. I still like to get a fader on anything that I consider emotional, lead vocal for sure. But even like synth pads and various, EBO guitars and stuff, I want to get my hands on it and feel it. You can break point that, but there's nothing going to be the human emotion, the feeling of getting in there and digging. It's just a thing, and I feel like the end result shows the human emotion of a fader that a break point don't. I still use a lot of break point. I do. And I can mix with just that if I have to. I've done it long enough that I feel like I can still get the emotion that's inside of me. I can still get out even going. But it's just so slow compared to getting your hand on a fader. The Avid Artist Series, which has been replaced by the S1 and the S3, all that stuff is great too. No one needs to use anything that I use just because I use it. There's so many great alternatives out there. If you're not missing out on anything by having the Avid or the other company. There's multiple other companies, that make that kind of a thing.
Let's talk about speakers first.
Okay, my primary speaker, I'm a three-way kind of guy. Well, I mean like three different sets. So the big speakers are the Adam S3Vs, wanting to try their horizontal version too in this room. But I've had these in there for several months and really have came to love them. So it's a three-way. It's a 9-inch woofer, a mid-range, and a tweeter. It's the ribbon tweeter that they're known for, and they just sound great. But they're not overhyped to me. I don't want overhype. Those U brackets come with the speakers, or maybe it's an add-on thing that you can add that on to your purchase. Clients are loving them in the tracking room, absolutely loving them. So I'm a big Adam fan, as you can tell. Inside of that, these are NS10s. I know they're blue. This color that's not blue but not green. Aquas and peacocks or whatever they call those colors. And so I never have ordered. You can get on eBay and order the Yamaha stickers, and I still want to do that. But originally, I had a texture in mind. Instead of a solid flat color like this, I wanted to put a little bit of a gradient, not a gradient. I'm trying to think of the word, and I'm not smart enough. But I've never went back and added them because I had to get busy, and they've been sitting there ever since. In fact, they're probably stuck to the Orlex from the paint. So I've got speaker stands back here with this plywood on it to push the monitor and the NS10s far enough back. So I had to do that just to push everything back until I figured out if I wanted to keep these, which I figured out I do. so like I said, temporary becomes permanent. But and then over here, Aratones, the old vintage. These are the original oldies. These you'll notice are off to the side and pushed together. But what that does is it gives, it's all mid-range. There's no low end, there's no high end. I can flip over. I don't spend very much time on these at all, but I can flip over real quick and hear wide elements. Think of hard panned acoustics, if that's what's driving the song, hard panned power chords, whatever the case is that's wide versus those center elements. I mean, it's in your face. It's like, okay, in the mid-range, your electric guitar versus your lead vocal, is this powerful or not powerful? Like, there's no questions, right?
So can I ask, is there like a philosophy of what goes over there, what's here, and what's here? It kind of seems like there is a structure.
Well, yes and no. It's not exactly what I want it to be because of the angle of this desk. I told you the VU meters don't work properly. So a lot of the stuff that's over here has to be over here because of that. Yeah. Because I'm the age that I am, at one time when I mixed, you had to have a bunch of outboard reverbs. Even when Pro Tools was around, Pro Tools could not, the horsepower was just not there. So you had to have a bunch of outboard stuff. But at one time you had to have a bunch of stuff. So PCM 70, I've gotten rid of some of it, but I still love this Yamaha SPX 90. That's the 990. There's a patch in there. In fact, it's probably on there. Yeah, 26 Symphonic. What an incredible piece. These aren't very well known. The Roland SR 330s, SRV 330s. What a great reverb those are. But over here, there's two effects processors over here as well. The Line 6 stuff, and I'll get to my pedal collection here in a minute. But what I like to do is I like to route a sound through this mobile pedal rig that I have, and I will use some kind of a distortion or whatever the case may be, auto wah, dynamic wah, whatever the case may be, and then run it into this delay and also mangle that delay through this filter on the other on the other side. I can create some extremely fun electric, like lead guitar delays and stuff. And I've got it to where this old Motu box, if I, as soon as I tell Pro Tools to send the MIDI time code out, these will sync up to the tempo of the song. Right under that, the Manley ELOP, so that's like their version of a LA3A, LA2A, whatever you want to, put in that category. But it's fast as light. This is the fastest optical compressor I've ever used. They're lightning fast. It sounds really good on piano because it's so fast. Under that is a little prize. That's an original 60s era Teletronics LA2A, and that was pulled out of Gold Star Studios out in Los Angeles when they closed in the 80s. There's no telling what albums have been, there were 2 of them in that studio, and the guy I bought them from kept, he kept one of them. So under that is 2 channels out of Ronnie Millsap's old Neve console. Up here, while we're filming this is we can't even talk about it, but by the time this video shows, it will have came out. This is the newest Warm Audio piece. It's a tube preamp. It's based on the old Ampex tape recorder, the preamps built into them. These are in a little thing because I take them downtown a lot. These are the Rupert Neve 9098s that Amec made after he left Focusrite. Unbelievable. The EQs are so good. It's not as colored as the old 1073 modules or something like that. Think of it as the newer Rupert Neve designs. Then I have the Avalon 737. I've loved these forever. These sounded like a record. I know some people don't like them, and I never have understood that. They're tube, but they're very clean, and maybe the people that didn't like them just want tubes to be gritty. Back down to here. This is kind of what I call stereo subgroup stuff and stereo mat. Generally, when I use the distressors, I have them linked together, and they're on drums. I don't usually use them, hey, this one's on vocal and this one's on bass or something like that. When I mix here, if I'm going to use a distressor on it's going to be a plug-in. Below that, I have the Audioscape Decomp. This is based on the EMI Chandler, and under $2,000. Which if you know anything about the EMI Chandler stuff, it's way over $2,000. Yeah. Nothing else sounds like them. If you want that sound, you have to have the EMI, or in this case, luckily Audioscape copied it. So I'll use this on drums as well. Under that, I have the T-Comp from TK. Right under that, I have the Heritage Successor, which is like a 1 rack space version of a 33609. And I've been using those on vocal subgroups too. That's kind of been my number 1 go-to recently. Then under that, I have the Warm Audio version of a VCA SSL style. Because right under that, I have an actual SSL. I know it doesn't say SSL. I like this better. I use this more. This is a very little known piece. That is a John Oram. He goes back to the old days of Trident. It's so versatile. It could be your stereo bus EQ. It could be anything, but that's kind of where I've had it just because of that excitement that it creates. Right under that, 2 DBX 160s, X's. Everybody knows what those are. You can find those used, the X's and the XTs. And then right under that, a gate stay level. So that's an actual tube variable mu. This is one of my favorite pieces in the whole studio. The Locomotive Audio 14Bs. These are variable mu compressors with adjustable attack and releases. Audioscape, Blue Stripe, and the Revision F. That's the original Warm Audio 1176. It's a low serial number. I bought that real early on and love it. That one's great. And then an original DBX 160, the VU. These are 2 channels pulled out of a Neve console, 1272s. The Better Maker stereo bus EQ. It's a Pultec style. It's a passive. A couple channels of Warm Audio 73s. If I'm going to track something. Tone Beast, that's a Warm Audio preamp that's kind of based on a 312 circuit from API 550B. Audioscape LA3As, and typically what I do is I run these as a group across electric guitar buses. Grace preamps, just for something super transparent. Radial reampers, Locomotive Audio. This is a stereo tube preamp. And then all 3 of these are the Warm Audio Pultecs, but I push signal through them to get the tube thing. Lastly, we have the Universal Audio 610, 2 other flavors of tube pre. Okay, this is cool. So I have this pedal collection, that dynamic wall is one of my favorites. So the MXR Submachine is cool. The Moonshine is cool from JHS, Tube Screamer. And I have back here in the back, I have radio boxes and signal arts.
So this is all patched in like to a hardware insert or something?
I have a snake on the back that goes into TT. So I actually, when I'm gonna use this, I drag it out. The Big Sky and the Strymon, I'm a huge, the Big Sky is unbelievable. The original Boss, and it still works great. These were originally made for a keyboard, so it goes in hot. Strymon El Capistan, that's cool as heck. You know what these are. I love that stuff. You know, it's hands-on fun.
Just the general space in here is so comfortable. You've got some really nice seats for if the artist wants to micromanage and hang out. You know?
Yeah. Come in. I've had people come in and do the mix revision thing. Sign off on a mix. And you want to see inside the booths or anything? This is the Signal Arts 47. So it's not a real Neumann, but boy, it is good. The Signal Arts. It's a U47 copy that is exceptional. This is the one place. If one of your guys out there wants to come over and cut some wood for me, I still have I want to make a 2-inch panel for right here.
Also, like you can see in the other booth.
Yeah, and this is that double layer of laminate. But the headphone systems and the microphone panels, come in down here. It's well, you see there's bass traps in each corner, and the ceilings are treated with the 2-inch 703. So if I put a 2-inch 703 thing right here, it's not going to eat into my real estate, but it's going to kill some of the back and forth because I can still hear it. Sure. So I need to get that. Fixed up. But that's the primary booth. This one is more storage. I mean, it's wired up and it can be used. Warm Audio 84s, $400, I think, and you can get a stereo pair for $750 last I knew. Speaking of Neumann, that's the 149. So good. It doesn't sound like a 49, like a vintage 49. It's more modern and hi-fi sounding. This is just a little podcast mic for when I do, film like tutorials or whatever. The Warm Audio 251. When I want the bright, airy vocal mic, this guy under $1,000 and sounds so good. Just for acoustic guitars, I keep most of my 414s downtown, but this is just an all-around studio workhorse. If we want the solid state non-tube thing, I've got this is an 87 clone. What I like about this one, not only does it sound great, but I've got both versions of an 87 built into one mic. Oh, cool. See, vintage, which is what I prefer most often because it's it's smooth, right? Sure. But for some people grew up with the AI version of the 87 and they like the brighter, hotter output. And so you just flip a switch right there and all of a sudden you have that sound in the same mic. Then for the artists, I have just Audio-Technica M50s, just classic. These just great sounding, headphones. So
clean. I know some people don't love like the brand new squeaky clean stuff. I love it.
I'm like an artistic nerd. I just really am, artsy fartsy. So I'll turn off the lights, light candles. I can black it out in here, and I'm kind of into the song more. And I feel like above my technical abilities, the mindset of me using my technical abilities is altered, and I come out with a result, a mix that's more appropriate for that song. I've got it bright right now for these videos, but man, 9 times out of 10 when I'm working, it's way darker in here.
Well, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah,
you should be like so proud. I mean, this is super inspiring to someone like me, and I've seen hundreds of studios, and nice. I'm so grateful that I, still get to walk in and be like, wow. Well, can I ask, do you have anything coming out? Any projects you're working on? Anything that someone who's watching this can go check out from?
The Lost Saints, I mix some stuff for them. It's a country, if you're into the pop country thing. A lot of projects that are ongoing, stuff that hasn't came out yet. I've done some videos recently, tutorial type videos for the Produce Like a Pro channel. And I've got more stuff coming out. I've got a video for SSL coming out that's a new product video.
So you got a course?
I do have a course, a mixed course. It's through Kit. I partnered with Kit Plugins, the people that partner with Blackbird and make Neve stuff. If you go to their website, it's right there. I think it's $40 right now.
Great. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it. I'll put links to all your stuff down under the video so people can follow what you're up to.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming out, Andrew. I appreciate it. So we're practically neighbors now, right?
Yeah, I'm not far down the road.
I'll have to come up and see your place sometime soon.
All right. Thank you, Joe.
You're very welcome.
See ya.
All right. See you guys.